Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday night's edition of Paranormal Question of the Day. We're right back right after short intro. Hey everyone, this is Darren Buss for Paranormal Question of the Day. Tonight's guest is Adam Began. He is the owner of Historically Haunted Paranormal, also has a show called Historically Haunted, which you can find out on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll get to learn more about Adam and his paranormal adventures. He also likes to talk about horror movies, so we'll get into the horror movie stuff. Grab some popcorn, grab some soda, it's going to be a lot of fun. Parental advisory is needed. We are coming up next. And we are back.
What's up? I caught on my phone. What's going on, brother? I was sharing the event, making sure everybody could see it. It's on my page. Man, Darren, it's a pleasure for you. You inviting me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure coming on. We've been talking for a little bit now. I highly respect you and your show and your listeners, and I appreciate it. What's up,
Thank
Linda
you.
Bernier? Awesome.
Hey, what's going on, Linda?
Welcome. From Seattle, Washington. Yes, good people.
Awesome. Big wrestling state as well.
Absolutely.
And we got Denise. Welcome.
Hello, Denise Flood, new friend.
Oh yes, George. Welcome,
George DaCosta. Good people there. Big good friend of mine.
Is he part of Rise Up Paranormal by any chance?
George is kind of an independent collector. He's just a supporter of the field. He collects haunted items and stuff like that, and he collects like memorabilia from like Pennywise, Annabelle, shit like that. And he's just a big supporter, man. He watches the show. He goes to events. You always see him working with like Mary Jo Chudley events and stuff. Penn State Paranormal. So good people.
Okay.
Good people.
Because I was just kind of wondering if he's related to Ken.
I wish it. No, I don't. I'm not sure. He may be.
I have weird shit. So yeah, well, Ken DaCosta is part of Rise Up Paranormal in the New England area. So I'm kind of wondering if there's similarities there, but that's all cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, Mr. Adam Began, welcome to the Paranormal Question of the Day. Remind everybody you are on the Paranormal Brew and BB3 TV networks, and if you don't have YouTube or Facebook, I should say, go on YouTube to MGS Paranormal. We are live there as well.
Betsy Brown Williams, she hangs out with this Josh Purvis and the Searchers and Shane Pittman and them. She helps them with their merchandise. Good people, good supporter.
Hey, Betsy, no relationship. Okay, just checking.
Father Ken Torres, the Warren Legacy Foundation, Chris McKinnell, Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson. Ken's a father. He's a holy man. What's up, brother?
Very nice. Nice to see you in the chat here. It's good to have new people in. Hey, Tom.
Tom, pleasure to meet you, Tom.
He is part of BB3 TV network. Actually, I said half owner next with Dominic.
Oh, very cool.
So
I used to be on BB3 TV when I first did my podcast. My first, I think, 5 episodes were with you guys, and then I just kind of went off on my own, and I've been on my own ever since. But I got my start with you guys, that's for sure. Tom Springer, and what's his about 3 years ago.
Yeah, Springer. Yep, I remember Springer. He's still doing it. I think he's on his own right now too. So,
Betsy,
and I think this is my second season, I believe, with Paranormal Brew and BB3 TV. Tom can confirm that if he wants, but I believe it's my second season with these guys.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're all good friends and get to talk and chat. And Tom's got a YouTube channel. Tom, if you want to plug your YouTube channel in chat, that'd be helpful for him as well. He does a lot of the national forests and forests and stuff.
Yes, I talked with Tom when I first started because Taryn, which shout out to Taryn. I know she's not feeling well, but yes, Taryn, Miss Gettysburg herself, she's the one that got me into the network with them guys at the beginning and shit. So they're very cool. I remember Tom. Absolutely.
So just shameless, shelfless plug for Tom. Sorry, I always get that wrong.
Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, man. Hell yeah. Absolutely.
So Adam, let's see here, getting to the comments here. There it is. There's Tom's YouTube channel. Tom World, that's right.
Yep.
I always forget about that. how he
Yes,
has
Darren's
emotion.
awesome.
Yep. Taryn is usually on with me. So
A new friend, Ken. Nice to meet you, Ken. Hello.
hey Ken, how you doing? He is actually just became friends with him because he and I watch the same YouTuber, Danny Black. So
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
he does a lot of cool stuff. Hey Thomas, how you doing?
Thomas of Archangels of the Paranormal. Thomas Patrick Gormley, very good dude. Great promoter, great investigator. So cool. Good
Mr.
people checking
Larry
in already.
Eisler.
We're 5 minutes into it. We got a bunch of good people checking in.
Yep, Larry Eisler. Yes, sir, Ken.
Heather, my girl, Heather Kemenidi, she's upstairs, probably watching it on the laptop. Witch and Life,
Okay.
guys. Go check her out. I'm dating a witch.
Hey, sometimes it works out to your benefit, you know.
And I said witch with a W. I didn't say B. That's correct. Make sure we hear that right.
Yep, that's what it is. I knew it was something more about that, Tom. I mess up your stuff once in a while. I'm sorry. So, Adam, for those of you in chat that don't know who Mr. Adam Began is, you want to let the people know who you are and how you got into the paranormal stuff.
Well, thank you. And I actually thank you for saying my name 100% right. People really fucking don't say it right, but Adam Began, it's pretty simple. Larry Essler III, what's up? Checking in there. Everybody else checking in. So a lot of people know and a lot of people don't know. So I'm going to share it, and I appreciate that. Long story short, which isn't, I'm a talker. Of course, I'm a podcast host too, but I'm also always been a talker, so I might as well use it. So I grew up kind of a weird lifestyle. My dad left when I was young, the whole nine, and you just, you know what I mean? You don't really know what's going on.
Hey,
We
Amy.
moved to Lisbon. My mom meets a man, my sister's father, and we ended up moving to Lisbon, Maine. Not Lisbon, Portugal, Lisbon, Maine. Funny story about Lisbon is when he went hunting, I was about 8 years old. I was alone. My mom stayed up, and she was watching The Shining from Stephen King.
Ooh.
And I was, to this point, I'm Disney World, maybe Transformers, but nothing crazy scary. But I decided to stay. She goes, "You want to watch it?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Cool, that this guy that made this movie, made this book, that it's based off Stephen King, went to Lisbon High School." No shit. And that true story, Stephen King, the author himself, Pet Cemetery, the whole nine, went to the same high school as me. My senior year, there were cameramen there from the historical societies and history TV there, you know. So I'm getting into Stephen King, watching my first Who movie, 8 years old. Fast forward a year later, or 2 years later, I'm about 10 now. It's 1988. I was born in 79. I'm dating myself. My mom,
Hey,
who I'm
I'm
talking to
77
there,
here, so
yeah, whatever. You know, my mom, her father, my papa, passes away. He actually had a heart attack in a grocery store, and he died fell on a pile of potatoes, had a heart attack. The night that he died, the night or night after, I'm not quite sure, he came to me. I was about 9 or 10 in the trailer park in Lisbon. Sorry for my voice, by the way. I'm just coming off a cold. He came to me, walked me to the fridge, got me something to drink, and brought me back to bed and told me to watch Mama and everything was going to be okay. Faded off into the ceiling. And at 9, 10 years old, I don't know if I'm daydreaming, sleeping. No one's going to believe me anyway. You kind of just shut your mouth. My mom's all fucking panicky because it's her dad. I find out 5 years later that my sister was looking up at the ceiling that same night or the night, whatever, and was saying, "Yes, Papa, I will, Papa." And my aunt saw her because my aunt spent the night. So we both saw my grandfather's spirit. Of course, you got cats dying, you got all this shit dying. Then fast forward till I'm about 14, 15, after I've already dealt with that death, that spirit, and of course, animals dying in Stephen King, all that shit. At 14, I watched my dad's father die in front of me. Flatline, vomit, eyes rolling back, right in the CMMC, Central Maine Medical Center, where I was born in Lewiston, Maine. It actually used to be the town square where they hung people when they had death penalties back in the 1700s. They built the hospital there. So I saw my grandfather die there, dude, at 14. I witnessed death. Now, so not only did I witness a spirit, but I also witnessed someone dying, flatlining, people crying. Like I said, vomit, convulsions, the whole nine. I was in the room when it happened. And at 15, dude, when you've seen all this stuff, you either like become like a minister type God-fearing man or like maybe an atheist, or like me, where I'm going to graveyards, I'm camping out, I'm trying to find answers. I'm realizing you don't just die and go on the ground. There's fucking, you know. So I've been into this for a long time. People say that, "Oh, I've been in this a long time, blah, blah, blah." And I'm not mimicking anybody, saying anybody's whatever. I'm not better than anybody, but I've dealt with shit most people haven't dealt with. So you deal with all this stuff and then going up through life. Of course, in Lisbon, Maine, you see all this spooky shit. Maine itself. You ever been to Maine in New England? It's very old.
Nope.
pirate lore, witch lore, Bigfoot lore, Wendigo lore, you name it. There is mermaids have been seen here in Maine. I know because I've been looking for them all. I know all the stories. So fast forward now even longer, right? Now 2019, my mother dies going to get blood work, and I lose my shit because I'm living with her, and I'm at home in Casco, Maine, at her house making supper for her because I just got off a relationship problem and I was staying with her. So she never comes home. I lose my shit. I end up sleeping in a tent out back of her house for a year and a half till we sell it. I get bequeathed her car. I get her car, and in this the Scarborough, Maine, it's up by the ocean by Portland, Maine, I get in a head-on collision, and I died for 38 and a half seconds about. I woke up in the ambulance with the paddles on my chest, my clothes ripped in half, and I remember my mom telling me to get out of the car. I don't remember much after that. So after that, realizing like the guy's like, you made it, you're back, the whole nine, man. And then seeing my mom come to me, dying, the whole fucking nine. I went homeless for a year and a half after that. I lost my shit. I quit my job. COVID came. I lived in an RV in back of a flea market in Maine for about a year and a half with no power, shitting in the woods and not doing anything, not being Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter, not having no one, suicidal thoughts, the whole nine. My girlfriend and me broke up. It was bad, man. It was bad. And then I get the call one day from Ross Raposo, who runs the Paranormal King Radio Network. I haven't talked to Ross in about a year because his mom died. He's been gone. But at the time, he wanted me to be the guest on the show because I'm still doing a little bits of things, but not crazy. I joined a team with Chris Sanders and a couple people, and nothing really happened of it. But Ross saw something in me, so he had me on his show. I start answering questions, doing the show. Right after the show, he goes, "You want your own show? You're a great talker." So I got my own show, Historically Haunted Show. I named it. I had that radio show for a year and a half. I did the podcast, which started out on BB3 TV Network because of Taryn, Historically Haunted Vodcast. I've been doing that now for 3 years. I get paid decent money by trucker Donnie Green, who was the truck driver in Pet Cemetery that drove the red truck that killed Gage in the original Stephen King movie. He's my sponsor, and to the point now where I'm his agent. So I went from homeless and suicidal and dead in a car accident to now I'm a podcast host, a successful one. I got a sponsorship. I got weekly sponsors. I'm sponsored by an actor in a Stephen King movie. And now I'm a booking agent. And I also am the booking agent for Stacey Johnson. She played Pennywise in the It remake in the sewer scene when Georgie's arm gets ripped the fuck off. That's not Bill Skarsgård. The blue-eyed Pennywise is her. You can look that up. It's a fact. I represent her. She paid me to represent her, just like Donnie. The truck from Pet Cemetery, it's been refurbished. I sponsor that. That's going to be my age. I'm the agent of that. So long story short, man, I went from bottom of the barrel, homeless, dead, to literally making money and a life off of this industry, and not so much the whole come have a soda and eat a piece of pizza and investigate the Mad Hatter house. Woo! That's all fine and good. I'm not ripping people off. I'm legit working my ass off and doing fun stuff to uncover the truth behind things and find things out. I got a little bit of a following now, and I'm not letting it go to my head. I'm very proud. I'm writing my first book, something I thought I'd never do. But I tell you, man, the paranormal field's been good to me to the extent to where I include the history and everything else. And I know I keep going on. The gift of gab. You're right, Linda. It is. But at the same time, by the time you're done talking to me, you're not going to have many questions. That's what, just like my post. If I go someplace, I explain to you why it's a haunted or a movie filming site. I've been to where they shot Pet Cemetery, Hocus Pocus, Hubie Halloween, fucking Lords of Salem by Rob Zombie. I've been to these places. And at the end of the day, when you stop talking to me, you're like, I don't got no questions because I fucking cover it all. So I guess whatever, man. I guess I do like to talk, but same time, man,
Yeah.
it is what it is. At least it's fucking not just, bubblehead talk like who's on the new Bachelor show. I don't watch that brainless shit. Wrestling is as far as it goes to brainless for me.
Yeah. Well, we have that in common. We do watch wrestling. Hi, Jamie Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jamie.
Well, let's talk about the horse. I can't even talk now. Historically haunted. Sorry, historically haunted. Tongue tied. Sorry. Let's talk about your findings and your and where you go find your haunted locations and stuff.
Okay, that's a great question. I appreciate that, and it's all historically haunted. I got to trademark it. It started with Historically Haunted Paranormal. My girlfriend Heather Caminiti Italian. She's my witch in life guide. That was her show. She does her own stuff now. She sells trinkets, little necklaces, jewelry, a little ghosty there stuff. Witch in life guide. So we started Historically Haunted Paranormal right about COVID time, a little bit before, because we love the paranormal, man. We're right next to. I mean, we spent all night at Lizzie Borden's in Fall River, Massachusetts. Everybody knows Lizzie. Mm-hmm. We have the whole place to ourselves. I mean, we've been to Salem, you name it. So all that stuff drives me. I looked at Atlas Obscura a lot. It's a free website, and that tells you odd things, weird things. Because I like my movie filming sites. I like my the world's biggest ball of yarn. You know, shit like that's kind of neat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I've been to the birthplace of the fried clams. That's in Essex, Massachusetts. That's a place called Woodman's. They were the first ones to make fried clams in like 1948. You know, like I've been to Connecticut, Lou's Lunch, the birthplace of the hamburger, 1895. They in the American thing in the Hall of Congress that says the birthplace of the hamburger is Lou's Lunch in New Haven, Connecticut, 1895. And you can go there and they still put it in the little metal compresses, and they don't put ketchup on it. You literally just get like liquid cheese and onions, and that's it, you know? So I look for these places. I try to go places that are new and fresh. I love Lizzie's Conjuring House. I've been to USS Salem, but I want to go to places that aren't discovered a lot of times. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to like for me, everybody does that, but no one's really doing movie filming sites. I mean, the Grim Collective does a little bit, but I'm right in fucking Maine, dude. I grew up in Lisbon. I live in Bangor now. I live 20 minutes away from Bangor. I live up by the Appalachian Trail, Mount Katahdin, Maine, and Moosehead Lake. And I live right by Bangor, Derry, Maine. And literally, I do tours now for about $100 or so. I took Danny Perez and Lauren Perez from the Radicals. They make Ouija boards out of coffin wood. They drive around in a hearse. They're from Connecticut. They drove from Connecticut to Bangor, Maine, 3 states away, just to take my tour. I brought them to Stephen King's house. The inspiration for Pennywise is a storm drain there on Jackson Street. If you see the movies, both the old and the new, when Georgie gets his arm ripped off the boat, it says Jackson Street, and it's right fucking there, right off Union Street, right next to King's house. Oh, yeah, I know where all this shit is. The house in Hancock, where Donnie hit Gage. I know where that is. You know, so I brought them there. I know the inspiration for the cemetery. I've done my research. As you can tell, I'm not reading a cue card, dude. You know what I mean? Right. I smoke a lot of weed, but I very much can retain what I like to do. And I know where I actually want to do a convention in Maine. I'd like to. Shh, no one better steal it from me or I'll kill you. Just kidding. It's where they shot Graveyard Shift, the big mill where the giant bat killed everybody and the rats and stuff. I've been there. It's the oldest woolen mill in America that's still in use since 1821. Yeah, Maine was a state in 1820, so this is literally 2 years after Maine was a state. And that's in Maine, and I want to do some sort of thing there with a lot of these people. I know where Stephen King Radio is. I know it's not paranormal, but at the same time, it kind of ties in horror movies, heavy metal. To me, that's kind of with the paranormal and shit like that. I'm friends with everybody that runs the International Cryptozoology Museum. I actually worked there for a couple of weeks. That's in Maine. Lauren Coleman owns that. He's the one that chases Bigfoot and Yeti and Sasquatch and all that shit around Mothman. He's the king of that stuff. So,
that's a lot.
Maine's the place, man. I know where there's ghost ships that I've seen by Bar Harbor, mermaids, where there's a witch that was dances on a dude's tombstone, Buck's tombstone in Bucksport, Maine. It's named after him. His tombstone's got a black foot on it. They scrub it off and it keeps coming back, and they say it's the witch that he had burned. So if it's real or not, dude, it's fun. People fucking dig it, and why not? So I'm making a decent Danny Perez. Right. He's right there. Just figured I'd drop in. He's the one, Danny. Best tour ever. Thank you, Danny. And then the thing is, like, there is SK tours and there's tours of Bangor where King is, but I took Danny in Bangor where America's first Republican vice president, he was vice president to Abraham Lincoln. That's Kerper's favorite president, Taryn. Abraham Lincoln, his vice president, Hannibal Hamlin, was from Maine. He died on a couch while playing poker. That couch is on display in Maine. It's on display. It says in 1898, Vice President Hannibal Hamlin died on this couch. You can touch it. I got pictures of it. He's buried in the same cemetery Stephen King played the Reverend at in Pet Cemetery. May the Lord keep you. Yeah, Hannibal Hamlin's buried there. Who's also buried there is Alfred Brady. Al Brady in 1937, after Bonnie and Clyde died, he was America's Most Wanted. He got shot and killed by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI in Bangor from Indianapolis. Came to Bangor to buy guns. They killed him, and he's fucking buried there in the same cemetery. And I know where, too. So I'll take you guys there, man. If you guys come to Maine, anybody wants a tour, Historically Haunted Tours. I'm swinging at the fences. I do work a part-time job. I'm slightly disabled because of my car accident, so I can only work about 20 hours a week. But between booking people, being people's agent, the tours being sponsored, I get by. I'm not a millionaire, but
All right. All
you
right. No,
know,
I hear you. Quick question from Juan, I believe. Do you know any places in Wilmington, North Carolina for investigating?
ooh, see, I don't off the top of my head, but I'm the type of guy where you give me an hour and I'll give you at least 10. I would go Google, I would go Facebook, I would go anywhere I could. Obviously, my biggest thing is going to the library. It sounds
Right.
old school and nerdy, but I get old books, Haunted New England, Haunted America, Haunted Mississippi, and I write these places down. I like Connecticut's got the melon heads, these melon head country, these dudes with these big bulbous heads in Connecticut off Dracula Drive. And like Mercy Brown, a vampire, that the Mercy Brown vampire legend from Rhode Island, and the Connecticut Jewett City vampires. So I know a lot about New England. I'm trying to reach out more. I drove into Iowa. I went to the Axe Murder House in Vasilla.
There you go.
I've been to the first ever train robbery by horseback. That's in Adair, Adair, Iowa. Jesse James did that. There's a big monument there. I've been to the bridges of Madison County, Clint Eastwood, the bridge that's in Iowa. I've been there. So, birthplace of John Wayne. I've been there. I try to go, if I go to a state or town, dude, I'm instantly like, what's the coolest or weirdest fucking thing? Like I went to Mystic, Connecticut for the Warren convention this year. Tony Spera invited me personally. I didn't pay a fucking dime. Tony invited me as his guest. I went there, did the whole thing, VIP, the whole nine. George DaCosta picked me up. He flew in from Tampa, Florida, flew into Bangor, Maine, and drove me there. And we went to Mystic, Connecticut because it's right by the convention. So I went to go with Mystic Pizza, Julia Roberts. But I looked up in Mystic, you know what's in Mystic, Connecticut? Southington, Connecticut. Right there is the house from A Haunting in Connecticut, the haunted funeral home, the true story. Yep. But right above that, in Mystic, Connecticut area by the Searport, dude, there's the severed arm of a 13th century bishop. And it's in a glass case in a church for free, and I got pictures of it. His fucking hands rotten, mummified, rotten with rings on it, and it's right here down. It's a sleeve, and it's in a glass case, and you see the fucking hands. I'll send it to you later. I found that. George found Ted Bundy's house. Yes, I found that on Alice Obscura. So and it's free admission. I went to this church, walked in, and saw an arm that's fucking 800 years old of a priest, of a bishop or whatever. He's actually been sainted. So, man, life's a fucking Pokemon Go, except it's not. You don't need to be fake and have gigabytes and Wi-Fi. If you really want to go find odd shit, dude, you'll find it if you want it.
Oh, I bet. I just wanted to point out that we have Jing in here. She's from Indonesia, so I want to welcome her.
Oh, yes, I'm friends with the Jing. Hey, Jing, how are you? I'm friends with her on Facebook. She's a big supporter. Nathaniel Elwell's a great dude.
Hey, Nathaniel, welcome to the show. Great crowd on hand tonight. Thank you all for tuning in for tonight's show. Greatly appreciate you guys coming in and following the show. So I have to ask, I've been to Iowa a lot for a lot of haunted locations as well. Have you been to Malvern yet?
No, when we went, we're supposed to go to Far School. FAR, but then when COVID hit, it was me and Chris Sanders, we went cross country and COVID hit. So we only could see places that weren't open. We were stuck. I went to the drummer or the bass player from Slipknot's grave in Des Moines. I can't think of his name because I'm surprised. I should right now. Paul Gray's grave. We went to some places in Iowa, Des Moines, but unfortunately, even the Axe Murder House, we didn't get to go in because COVID hit. So what's out there? What's out there?
Malvern is a fantastic place. It is. Oh, it never disappoints. It's absolutely haunted to the nuts. As much as the Axe Murder House, because there's actually a connection between the two. So. With the train tracks. Okay. So it used to be a hotel, and then it turned into an old folks' home and all that stuff, and then end up having to be turned into a mental institutionalized area. And what they figure now, this is just what they're figuring, that the killer of the Axe Murder House was actually stayed the night at Malvern before he went over to Ballistica to make the kills.
No shit.
Yep.
Whoa. He was never found, correct?
Never found. Hey,
they had theories, and they think they knew, but they never quite wow. Yep. That's interesting. Because what
So
was it? 6 kids and 2 adults, or like 4 kids too? It was a lot. It was like 6 or 8 kids, people in that
it
house.
was
It was mostly kids, right?
6 kids. Yep.
Yeah,
2 adults. Yep.
that's
And he
right.
was
It was
hiding up
six
in the
kids.
attic the whole time.
That's right.
Yep.
In a very
So
tiny little modest house. It's not that big.
yep.
It'd be
It all
considered
happened in
almost low income.
1912, the same year as the Titanic sank.
Holy shit. Oh, you know your shit, Darren. I knew I liked you, brother. Yes. Thank you for inviting me on
So
the show, by the way. I usually don't get invited on shows much. I was on one last week. It's funny I say that, but I mean, me being the host, I don't get invited much. And I like being on the other side for once, man. It's fucking
well,
cool.
yeah. I mean, that's
I got to
what
get you
we
on
do.
my
I
show
like
now.
talking to people, and I like having people in here because that's how we get to know stuff and know people more better and learn the industry more too.
Love the
So,
backdrop, by the way. Love the Ghostbusters poster. I'm
oh,
not at
thank
my
you.
house. I'm at my girlfriend's house, but I got my backdrop shit. But that's cool. I like that. Very,
Yeah, that's
very
my
cool.
son's PlayStation behind me. So he actually moved into my room versus his room because he wants to make it into a movie room. So I'm like, fine, I got my movie room that way.
Oh, what a good dad. You're a good
So
man. Yeah, see, Nate said he heard that too. Is it the same thing you're talking about?
yeah,
See, I didn't know that.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So
Huh.
now what has been the most undeniably freakish haunted location you've been to?
Phew. Well, there's one place. It's called R.H. Jurgensen's with a J, Jourgens, I think. It's in Wells, Maine, which, funny enough, Wells is where one of the male witches from the Salem witch trials there was George Burroughs, the Reverend. He was in Wells, Maine, which was Wells, Massachusetts at the time, but that's where he was captured and brought. But anyway, so this place on Route 1, me and Heather went in there. I don't know. I think it was built in like the 1700s. It's an antique store, and it's got weird trees going around it. Not a big deal. The landscape's kind of fruity, but whatever. But we went in, dude, and just it was weird. Like I can't even explain it. Like the old lady that greeted us there reminded me of the librarian from Ghostbusters. And we go all the way out back, and she's not following us. Not that she needs to, but out back, these 2 giant dogs come out of this room, like werewolf style dogs, huge motherfucking. I don't know what even. Just huge, man, huge, like Siberian Huskies or something.
Mhm.
And they just literally like corralled me and my girlfriend all the way out of the fucking store. When we left, she didn't say nothing to us. And when we closed the door, literally, I think like the lights were off. Like she shut the lights off after we left. It was just very bizarre. But that's I digress. That's not part of that's not something on an investigation. Probably the most freakiest investigation place, and I've been to a couple. I've been to Hillview Manor. I've been to St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia,
Oh yeah, I've heard of
USS
those.
Salem in Quincy. Oh yeah, Hillview Manor, Pennsylvania. Some of these
Hmm.
crazy ones. Yeah.
It actually started out with a really small building, and it really expanded to something real big, didn't it? Hillview turned it actually didn't it turn to Rolling Hills.
Yes, Rolling Hills is in New York. I've been to the outside of that. It was
Okay.
closed during the winter. I've been to a lot. Amhigh in Maine and stuff.
Okay.
Salem is great, obviously. But let's see for freakiest though. Boy, I'd probably say Oliver House. You ever heard of the Oliver House in Moultonboro, Massachusetts?
I believe I have. Yes. Yes. It was.
Now
I think
Benjamin
it was it to
Franklin
do with
stayed there.
the Civil War and all that stuff too.
Yeah, Civil War stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah, like
where
they hid in the basement. Was it that they hid in the basement?
it was a trap. Yes, yeah, you've been there. It was the door. When you open the closet, right? It's just the floor. But when you pull the lever to the right, the floor opens up and you go down to the basement. And it has
Right.
slave
Right.
quarters down there and shit. And it's
Yeah.
dirt basement with rock walls. Benjamin Franklin found some notes of treason that started the American Revolutionary War there because Lewis Oliver owned it, the Oliver House, and
Hmm.
he was a British guy that was helping out the Americans, us, and suicides have been there. There's an Indian burial ground out back. Me and my girlfriend took a couple hits of joint out there. She got a tick on her tit and everything, a little tick. I go, oh boy, you got a Native American tick on you. Oh boy, that's old land from the 1600s. You know what I mean?
Oh
That
yeah.
was pretty wild, man. We felt some weird shit there. Lizzie's was rough. I hate saying Lizzie's. Oh, Dudley Town's cool. I haven't been there yet. We almost did.
Okay. Speaking of Leslie Borden, do you think she did it, or do you think it was the maid that did it?
I think John fucking Morris. Why was the uncle there? Why did he leave? Why did he go there just to show up to blackmail them to get money? Realize he wasn't and left. No one says John Morris, which is funny enough. The John Morris room, aka the murder room where we stayed, that's where the mother was killed. The stepmother, I laid in her spot. Not funny story, but weird story. My mom died 5 months later, and I blamed staying at Lizzie's for that. I thought because I stayed there, Lizzie killed my mom. I thought that for a little bit. I really blamed it on that because I laid naked in every room. We had the house to ourselves. The other people quit. So that's like what? $2,000 to rent the whole house out. We paid $200 for a room, but the other two people left, didn't show up. So Laura, the owner at the time, Lori Ann, I forget her name now. She passed away.
Yeah.
She goes, everybody else canceled, don't die. And she shut me and Heather into the whole house to ourselves. I pulled an all-nighter, dude. All-nighter. So I laid naked in every bed, in the parents' room, in the maid's room, Maggie upstairs.
There you go. That's the reason. I laid naked in every room.
That's probably what it was, but I didn't do it out of being a pervert. I just wanted to like be one with them. I love Lizzie. The whole, you know what I mean? I love that train night. What, me being naked, Nate, you pig? But I just like, even on the couch.
That's an image I didn't need to know.
In the room downstairs, right where you eat, they have the fucking tables from the autopsy on the wall. The tables that they had the father and mother on for their autopsies, the wooden little like little stretchers, they're on the wall like decor where you eat breakfast, dude.
Yeah. Well, now there's two buildings actually, because the one that she actually moved into after the murders were done,
Maplecroft.
She did not actually want to leave because you think, okay, the murders have been done. She's guilty of it, which everybody is feeling she is, but she's like, no, I'm not. So I'm going to stay here to prove my innocence. So she's going to move into Maplecroft. And she never got her innocence proven because she ended up dying.
The thing that's weird about all that is, and if you really, so you know your shit, and that's why I'm going to go into it with you. I went to Maplecroft. I didn't go in, but I got a picture of me, and it says Maplecroft in the stairs because she had that put in. It's a very beautiful house. Her and Emma, her sister, did not speak a word to each other after the trials and everything.
Right.
Emma moved to New Hampshire. Emma died. Lizzie died a week later.
Yeah. Yeah, that was freaky. I heard about that.
But they never talked to each other for 20 years, right? So
how can they live in the same house for 20 years like that and then move on?
Did they do it together, or did she realize Lizzie did it and couldn't bear speaking with her, but couldn't turn her in because it's her kin? I don't know.
Right.
Yes,
right.
George's going to the Conjuring house with Rachel King and Mary Jo there next year. It's $250 a ticket. A little rich for my blood. I like free myself. Call me crazy, but I really like that word free. See, that's my thing too is, dude, I don't pay for shit. I know that sounds cocky, but I don't because I won't go. So if people want me to come and shit like that, it's like, hey, come on, like Salem Paracon, I got asked to be a speaker. I didn't get paid, but I didn't have to pay. And I told him, I'm going to go. I want a table, and I got one. I mean, I know it sounds whatever, dude, but after dying in a car accident, seeing people die around you, your mom dying, I don't have no one to impress. And the best part about that is by me telling certain people that they're pieces of shit or telling people I don't want to be on your podcast because I don't like you. But yet I'm sponsored by Donnie Green from Pet Cemetery. So that's pretty good for someone who's just himself and not a kiss ass to know that I sponsor. Like the girl that played Pennywise gave me money and she's going to give me money for appearances. This booking agency, Historically Haunted Booking LLC, guys, check it out. I have paranormal people, authors, podcasts, you name it, and it's working out. I'm getting people spots. I get Nathaniel Elwell speaking spot at Salem Con. I represent him. So it's a good time. I like it, and I'm having fun doing it, and I'm doing it with the right people. And I don't know, man. I guess I'm just being myself, and I'm meeting people like you, Darren. You've been liking my shit. You and me talk. I see your shit. You want to be on your show, and I don't need to kiss your ass, dude. But I like you, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And I'd love to work with you. I'd love you to be on my show because you're a good dude that knows your shit.
I try. A lot of studying.
I'm gonna play hosted for a second. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
What's your number one bucket list, dude, that you got to go as far as haunted historic or anything like that?
Amityville.
Yes. I got to go too. Ocean Ave, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, okay, and I talked about this last week too, and Nathaniel, we talked about it a little bit too, is
thanks, Thomas.
A lot of things, okay, they all talk about the murders, they talk about the Lutzes and all that stuff, okay? But they never talk about all the stuff that happened beforehand. Okay, so the house that was originally there, they picked it up and moved it 2 blocks away. Okay.
What do you mean, before the murders or after?
The house, the whole house. The house
From
was built
before
in
the
19.
murders?
The house was built in 1927 by
Okay.
uh shoot, now I can't say the last name. But
Yeah.
yeah, Ocean 12. So had to report on this for a show that I was doing beforehand. Now, okay, before all that stuff, before even the house was there, before the other house was there, they had the two Indian clans were fighting against each other. You had John Ketchum that was fled from Salem to go there. Supposedly he was killed there and he is buried on the land. The
Ooh.
Indians that fought the other clan, uh, they buried those Indians face down in the dirt there. So now the possibly all probably went into the river in due time.
That's bad mojo.
So now after all that stuff, now you have this yellow house that was on the property, and they had it there for so many years. There was domestic abuse, violence, all that stuff was all documented at the house. Picked up, moved 2 blocks away for the other owner, the original owner that made the house. It was actually built in 1924, or started in
Oh,
24, finished in 27. The original owner died in the house in 61. The original owner.
I never knew that. See, I never knew that.
So now you get all that stuff. So nobody thinks about all that stuff ahead of time. They just go straight to uh the Lutzes and the Feos and all that stuff, and they don't even think about now. Is there's been 13 families that have lived in the house since then.
Wow, unlucky number in itself, ain't it? Look
Yeah,
at all those. Everything you just said could be a movie, and you didn't mention one thing about what the Lutzes went through, or the fucking DeFeos. Just the background of the Native American burying, which all of Long Island was a Native American stomping
yeah,
ground. Long Island, New York, was
right.
Native American owned, and they
And
were
if I
buried
said
like,
Indians
oh,
offended people, I'm sorry if I offended people saying Indians and stuff.
well, whatever.
But
Yeah, yeah, I don't care. We get, yeah, yeah. Wow,
but I mean,
wow,
it's all that
wow.
stuff is there, and the wife never died at the house. The Like I said, the original owner died in 61. So there's a lot of stuff that's in that house in history before even any of that stuff went on with the house.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
the Fayos, yeah, they had a lot of stuff going on. Can you not tell me that was a paranormal state of silence when the murders would happen because nobody heard the shotgun going off? Could that have been like a portal time going off where nobody heard anything go on? It's one of those things that we don't know.
And I will never know. Not
And
like
what
I don't
happened to Lutzes could happen to the Lutzes because no one was there to see what was going on. They all want to say it's a hoax, but honestly, did you live there for 28 days with them? Do you
thank
know if it
you.
was an actual
Thank
a
you.
hoax?
You know your shit, dude. You know your shit. Did you hear the story or whatever? I heard that the original family that was the Fayos, right? Ronald and them. I heard the father owed money to like the mob or something, or he was a gambler or something.
There was talks about that he had something to do with the mob because he, like, as he owned an automobile ownership stuff like that. There was nothing really in the history of that, so to speak. Saying that he hid money in the house as well. But the
Oh,
thing is, the day of the murders, uh, Ronnie Jr. and Ronald had a fight in the pool
yep.
room. The sister, the oldest sister, was like didn't care for the other girls, thought that her shit didn't stink. So I think that Ronnie and the older sister was involved in it, and in the end he ended up killing her because she tried to turn on him.
You want to know witnesses at this point?
Right, exactly. So a sealed alibi in a way. But that's what I think. um
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah,
when you really think about it, pretty much all of America really was Native American stomping grounds before we fucked it up. But at
right.
the most part, I believe they still had tribe there for a while because it was kind of separated from New York. They slowly got pushed out. I believe that Amityville is slightly based on the Poltergeist, or I believe that Poltergeist is slightly based off Amityville when it comes to that story of just the haunted land and
Yeah,
shit, you
there's a
know?
lot of things that let off. I mean, there's spins off and all that stuff, but the thing is you look at it, Danny and Chris, the two brothers that actually are far, far apart from each other on the whole deal of the Lutzes and stuff like that because Christopher changes to his last name, Quarantino.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That's
yeah,
right.
so they're too far off from each other. I wouldn't mind like having both of them on at the same time and just give their stories.
You notice these big events, the families separate, like Lizzie and even what's her name, Lizzie and Emma. When
Hmm.
it's got a big thing like that, like the Menendez brothers, if they weren't in jail, they probably wouldn't be talking to each other no more. This stuff really breaks up families. I mean,
And here's
it's
the other thing
that's
to think about. Now we're talking about families. Okay, the museum that I help out with for haunted location, they have Ed Gein's stuff there because he was held there.
wow.
And so now Ed and you got Henry, where Henry tried to break
That's
apart.
right. You're based out of Wisconsin, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's
So
right. Fucking Eddie Plainsville.
yeah,
Wow. I heard his farmland's gone completely. Didn't Cindy Karzer or something do someone there?
it's gone,
It's gone.
completely gone. We've been there last summer. Me and my friend Scott Bowser were there. We're actually in the middle of doing YouTube videos for Ed Gein and stuff because he's the
I'm friends with
author
him
of the
now. The
book.
author, he wrote a book about it. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, can't you go to the auto parts store and buy antifreeze, or is that closed down now? Like it's
The
so big.
no, the warden,
Bernice,
Bernice
right?
Warden. Yeah, no, that's all
Wow.
closed down. Actually, they're gonna make it into a Mexican restaurant, of all things.
See, and I'm not trying to be morbid, and I'm definitely not satanic, but that's my stitch too. Is that I
But
like I went to, let me see. Okay, Smutty Nose Island. Smutty Nose is a brewery. Smutty Nose is like a certain type of seal from the ocean or
mhm.
whatever, like a sea dog, they call it. So Smutty Nose Island's right on the base of New Hampshire and Maine, right off the island. There was some axe murders there a long time ago. And two of the girls that are actually sisters that were killed are buried next to each other in New Hampshire. The Smutty Nose Killer's great. So I went there as a tribute to them. I did a video, took some pictures, but I also went to Peabody, Massachusetts by Salem. The Boston Strangler's buried there, Albert DeSalvo. He was found guilty and killed and tried and killed as the Boston Strangler. So I've been to his grave. Not to clarify, I've been to Gigi Allen's grave too, though. You ever heard of Gigi Allen, the shock rocker that used to shit on stage and cut
Very
himself? And
vaguely. I can't say I know a lot of it, just very vaguely. I've heard of it, yes.
yeah, he's like he makes Rob Zombie blush, put it that way. And so I mean, not that I look at these people as heroes, but at the same time, it's just neat to say that I've been there. I like looking into it, and it's like, what the fuck else you get to do with your time? So it's got me to be Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter. That's why I have it on YouTube, and that's what I go by. And it's fun because it's not just I don't just do certain things. I try to just be all over
Yeah.
the place. Like I
Right.
said, go to where Stephen King filmed Pet Cemetery, where Charlie Sheen, who, if you look at the documentary, Charlie Sheen was there on site when they filmed it. The
Mhm.
rock quarry scene when he looks over at Judd, you know Pet Cemetery, right? You've seen that.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. You know, when Judd goes, not much longer now, Lewis, and Lewis goes, you keep saying that, and he's carrying church, and there's a big rock quarry with a bunch of water and a big rocks in the middle. I've been there. It's still the same way it was 30 years ago. It's right in Mountain Desert, Maine, right down the street from Southwest Harbor, where they shot Storm of the Century. Bon and Sin, come on in. I've been there. I've been there because why not? It's free. It's fun. It gives you something to do. At the end of the day, man, I'm like, I feel like a fucking rock star. I'm like, I got a YouTube thing. I get something to talk about. And just in my head, I get the pictures.
Right.
And I don't know, man. It's different. It's not for everybody, but it keeps me fucking occupied, especially
Right.
after just what I've been through, man. And I could be dead right now. Might as well
Mhm.
live it to the fullest. Maybe
Right.
that's what changes in people after they're going through that shit. But I just want to see it all.
So the podcaster. So what do you like about podcasting and stuff like that? And is it more of, hey, I want to get people on, get to know them, all that stuff, kind of like how I like to do it, and get the audience because your audience is your main feed.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what keeps the show going.
yeah.
And so what? How do you feel about podcasting in general?
I appreciate that because it's true. If I would like, I mean, obviously, you know, times are tough, and I've adjusted. I've went from Saturdays to Fridays to Thursdays to Wednesdays to Friday. I try to do different nights because you try to want to get the biggest audience, but you try to make sure you realize between fucking September and December, that's when paranormal teams do a lot of conventions, meet and greets, or just their own nightly tours or nightly hunts. So you try to go to different days. So I guess it's kind of it's cool because I've never really thought to be in my own businessman. And at first I just did it for shits and giggles, just because it was like, oh, I do a podcast, whoopee doo. But after a while, it grew on me because I get to meet folks like you. You get to meet people with great stories. I've met some people that have fantastic stories. I love when I ask someone to be on my podcast. They go, "You want to talk to me? Why me?" I go, "That's why. You're not full of your own shit. You want to come on? You haven't talked yet. No one knows you're." And you go, "Well, there is this one time when I get spit on by a demon at 2 a.m. I go, "Oh, I want to hear about that." And then they go, "Oh," and they get all excited. I like that. I like watching people pop. I like the audience getting excited. And I honestly, like I said, I do get sponsored by Donnie, and it is great. That's all great too. But at the same time, it's something to look forward to, man. It's cold here in Maine. It gets dark at 3:00. Me and my girl, we hang out all the time. We're always doing the same stuff, and it's all great, and I love it. But every once in a while, it's fun to just do something different, and not to act like a big shot, but just be like, oh, got my podcast, got to make the flyer, got to get information on my client. So then I spend a couple days on my guest, and I look to see, excuse me, what they're about. And then and now I'm reaching out and I'm getting, like I said, I'm getting Donnie Green on my guest. I had Sandy Johnson on my show. She played Judith Myers in the first Halloween by John Carpenter. She was the first ever kill of Mike Myers. She was Miss Playboy too. 1974, she was Miss Playboy of the year or whatever.
I don't appreciate that.
Yeah. So I had her. She blew me a kiss on the camera. She's like 70 something now, but I had her on there. And then they send me gifts. Sometimes I get gifts like their books, or I get a shirt or a hat. So it's fun, man. I guess I've always looked up to that whole aspect of the interviews, documentaries, down to earth, real stuff, getting to know people. And I have fun with it. People seem to dig it and respect it. And I guess, I don't know if I answered your question, but it just doesn't give me a purpose, but it's just fun. And I feel like that's my outreach to the world. And, yeah, man, it's just cool. It's cool because, especially like I said, being in Maine, we're a dead-end state. I don't really get a chance to meet most people. So to get to meet someone from Wisconsin or fucking Seattle or Texas and find out how they live, what they're into. You want to talk music? Oh, cool. You like fucking Slipknot? Oh, you like fucking Gore? I did shots with the lead singer of Gore before he died. I did in New Hampshire. I got pictures of me and Dave Brocky doing shots. And then I drove to Hollywood Cemetery in Radford, Virginia to see his grave, where he's buried next to the Richmond City Vampire, W.W. Poole, and two presidents are buried there, James Monroe and fucking someone else. But Hollywood Cemetery, Gore's lead singer, Oderus Urungus, is buried there next to W.W. Poole, Richmond's vampire. Check that shit out. That's fun. I went to a house in Virginia real quick, too, in Richmond. I'm sorry, it was in Richmond, not Radford. Radford's the other place, but in Richmond, I went to a house made out of 30,000 tombstones. The guy bought Union tombstones of Union soldiers. They cut them in half to make them on the ground. So the bottom parts of the marble, they sold it. The guy bought it, made a house out of it. I went to it. I got a video on my YouTube channel. I'm Historian Ghost Hunter. And it's got me touching it. The girl, like, you can touch it. She goes, the black man downstairs talks to me. She's like a Hispanic girl. And she goes, and the white man watches me sleep upstairs. I go, oh, you have two ghosts. Well, black and a white one. Virginia. So I go around the house, dude. It's all marble. It's hot as fuck, but the marble's cold, and it's marble tombstones. The only one in the world, tombstone house, and I've been there. Fucking A, man. This shit gets me off, man. I don't know, man. I guess it gets me off. I love this shit. I fucking love it.
So okay, I would say let's segue into horror movies because we like talking about horror movies. Okay. So my favorite horror movies are Amityville, of course, The Exorcist, of course, Evil Dead. Gotta love me some Bruce Campbell.
Your mother's here with us. And I love it. The Exorcist when she says that in the bed.
What do you think about the new one?
New one, I haven't seen the newest one. I've seen the first three, and I have seen the remake, but I haven't seen the newest one yet with the two girls. God damn it, I haven't seen that one. I didn't see Thanksgiving.
I haven't either
Pilgrims. Yet. I haven't seen that yet either. No, I didn't see that yet either. So I'm behind a little bit. But the ones you name dropped are definitely some of my favorite too. Definitely some of my favorite.
I mean,
too.
A lot of the people also too, paranormal speaking, is the Entity that really freaked out a lot of people. See, now I've watched it and it really didn't freak me out as much. But now, okay, you can people laugh in the audience. You can laugh, but I thought that the Blair Witch Project was the real shit, and that messed me up.
At the time, Salem's Lot's great. Heather just got
Oh
into
yeah.
reading the book. And of course, I love Castle Rock, which is based off Jerusalem's Lot. So, Blair Witch, which is loosely based off, I believe, the Bell Witch hauntings. I believe it's based off that, right?
Actually, well, it's more of it's more of a made up story, really, from what I understand.
But when I watched it, I
The
didn't think so. I thought these fucking kids were in hell.
and it was like 7 kids, I want to say, like 7 burial sites by rocks. Is it?
Yeah.
It's been a long since I watched it. When I watched it, I must have been like so into it that it messed me up because when I went home, I went to bed. At this point, I don't know if it was stress from the movie or whatnot, but I ended up having the old hag syndrome out of it.
Oh.
And I woke up and like my room was upside down. Everything was covered in blood. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I actually ran downstairs to my parents. Like, you need to come upstairs. There's something wrong with my room. All from that movie.
Wow. How old were you?
I
12?
was. Ooh, let's see. When did that movie come out? Was it 98?
97, 98, 98, 90. Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
about late
I was
90s.
about 18, 17, 18.
Wow.
It messed me up. And I
There
just
was
like,
nothing like that movie at the time, though.
no. And they made it out to be such a realistic thing. And then it's just kind of, so if you want to laugh in the audience, go ahead and laugh. That's okay.
Yeah, but you weren't there that time. I'm the same way, dude, because they said it was found footage. They never found them. At the end, they're standing in this house in the walls in the corners in the middle of the woods. Living in Maine and Lisbon, that's all we were, was surrounded by woods. I didn't want to go camping any fucking time soon.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, In the Mouth of Madness, that screwed me up a little bit,
Ooh, that's a classic one too.
but I was drinking while we were watching that one.
Yes, it was a game changer. Blair at the
Yeah.
time, that's why people still talk about that. If you notice that, no one forgets Blair Witch. Either they've heard of it or they remember it, one or the other. No one goes, Blair Witch, what's that? People remember that. It was one of a kind at the time.
Yeah, it was. And then you look at Paranormal Activity now, which is kind of play off the same kind of format type deal. Which
The House that
the
October
first,
built. I've seen the
yeah,
House that October built
that's a
1 and
good
2.
one.
That's kind of the same.
Yeah,
It's
that was
almost,
freaky.
yeah.
That's a
It's like
freaky one.
it's shaky camera. It's like you're there, your heart's pounding, you almost feel dizzy, and it acts like it's like real life, which I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie. I love Freddy Krueger. I love all the make believe shit's great. Hellraiser, all that shit's kind of largely.
Hellraiser's nasty.
Oh, I got a picture with Bradley there, fucking the guy that played Pinhead. I met him at the Salem Con a couple years ago there with
I want
Miko
the
Yu.
cube. I just want that cube.
Oh no, you don't. You'd open it, you fucker. You would be like, I want to play. Angels to some, demons to others.
What do you think? Your take on Annabelle? What is your take on that?
So, man, you know what's funny? I'm not that I would believe anything, but I'm open to anything. I'm willing to hear things out. Everything's got a story. How true is it? It depends on who's telling it. I get it. I've seen Annabelle 3 or 4 times, never experienced anything, but I'll tell you what, every single time I see her, whether it's in front of 10 people dancing and singing at the Warren Con, or the very first time I saw her when it was very secluded, few people, I get an odd feeling out of it myself. Long story short, my mom died, like I said, 2019. She retired from LL Bean. So I got a little bit of her pension money. Me and my sister, we split it. Even though I was homeless, I had enough to buy the RV. So, which was nice. It just didn't work on me half the time. So I spend money, a couple $100 to go to an intimate night at Monroe, Connecticut, where Ed and Lorraine were from, where they're buried. There's a restaurant called Roberto's. They had a night with Annabelle and Nesper. This was before the Warren Convention was even a thing, because that's only 3 years old. This is back like 6 years ago. And me and Heather went. We drove down. We got a hotel in the area. We had to go see Union Cemetery, where Ed talks about the white lady that's written in the book Cemetery he wrote. I read that book. I've been there. There's a marsh out back too, where they buried somebody, or they put somebody in the marsh and he rose to the top 3 days later. So they found the guy, and he was found guilty of killing this guy, but it was like a sinkhole. They threw this body in, and he rose to. That's in Union. cemetery in Connecticut. But anyway, so we went to the night with Annabelle, dude, and there was literally about 100 people there. It was like $200 a ticket or something like that, 150. And they blessed us the whole night. We had a meal. We watched the documentary, watched a real exorcism, the one of that Maurice Thibodeau guy from the Satan's Harvest. And you could see him. He would cry. He had a white T-shirt on. He was sitting there all tied up crying. And when he would cry, the tears would leave his eyes as tears. And it hit his shirt and it would turn red. It would turn to blood. That was fucking crazy. I watched that. That was an exorcist video that Nesper played, that Tony Spera had, that Ed Warren had. That was fucking wild. So then they bring out Annabelle, dude, and Father Plato, the bishop from Canada, Plato, I forget his last name, but he came out and he blessed us all, holy water, the whole nine. Sister was there. Judy was there. Tony was there. All of Nesper were there. And we met the Annabelle, dude. And I tell you, the stories precede her. And of course, I wasn't there. There's no videos back then. They didn't have cell phones of this dude in a bike accident after he told her off. But being in the presence of a 6-foot-tall Raggedy Ann doll sitting there with black eyes in this case with tarot cards around it, believe it or not, man, it's pretty fucking wild. Either you feed into the superstition or it's real. But either way, it's intimidating, I guess. I think so. I get it. And at the Warren thing now, you can go and there's DJs and listening to music and people take selfies with Annabelle and it's kind of a joke now or it's commercialized, which is sad. Right. I think that's kind of sad.
Because he takes it where he goes, doesn't he? The travel.
Yes. And at first it was like, you don't look at it, don't touch it. But now it's like bring it to a convention at Mohegan Sun with fucking 20,000 people and let everybody drink and dance around it. I don't get that, man. And I love you, Tony. You know I do. Judy, yeah, I got selfies with you. I love them very much. But I just think it's like, I think she deserves a little bit more respect than that. I hate to see something happen because people get crazy around her. You see the selfies. There's plenty of it going around.
Oh, look at Zach Baggins. He went to try and hold it. Zach Baggins tried to hold it. He actually
was that set up for ratings? Do you think?
I'm sure it was. I mean, I'm not a Zach Baggins fan at all because I don't like how he does his techniques and stuff. A friend of mine also went to his haunted museum, and she says it's cool. It's very cool to see a lot of those haunted items.
He's got Ed Gein's cauldron there. I heard.
We'll talk about that after.
Oh no! So don't break my dreams.
So, other than that, I mean, yeah, I'm not a big Zach Baggins fan. What do you think about the paranormal shows that are out there today? And is there any one that you follow and watch?
Honestly, dude, I remember growing up on Ghostbusters, and I love that shit. And then my mom started getting me into the ghost hunters, these taps, these rotor-rooter people that do pipes and chase ghosts for a living. And I don't give a fuck who you are. I get it. Hans Holzer, Ed Gein, Ed Warren, Ed Warren, Hans Holzer. But no one really knew them folks back then. Maybe you've heard of them in Amityville, but when it comes down to it, before the Conjuring movies and Annabelle, the only thing you knew about ghosts were Ghostbusters, which was a movie, and Ghost Hunters, which was the two guys. And before Dustin Perry came on, it was just the two guys from Rhode Island. Yeah. And that was cool because they bring the history into it. I remember the Halloween when they went live from the Shanley Hotel in Connecticut. I remember that. And that was big to me. I thought that was really cool because they tried to debunk everything and they were just really into it. And I learned what debunking was. That's where I first learned of equipment. And then I've seen copycats like any other good thing in life. 55 million people claim to be the best in the original. And that's how Steak and Cheese got ruined because everybody thinks that they're the first.
So I follow Project Fear. That used to be Destination.
Yeah, yes. I've watched things like that. But in my opinion, dude, there's no degree for what we do. None of these motherfuckers from fucking Dave Schrader to fucking Shane Pittman to fucking Tony Spera. None of these people went to college unless you go there for psychology, whatever. But for the most part, there's no such thing as a ghost hunting PH fucking D. So as far as I'm concerned, if I get the balls to go to a fucking morgue at 2 a.m, I'm just as good as fucking the guy from Travel Channel or Sam Brutalis or whoever these fucking guys. They're no better than me. And I've met some of these dudes. I've messaged some of these dudes that I just name dropped, and they've been rude to me. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I when I got the car accident, I asked Darkness Dave Schrader to give me a shout out on a show. He saw my message and he declined me, so I never talked to Dave since. There's certain people that have snubbed me before I've had my show that I don't forget because their shit stinks too, and so I don't watch those. I don't give people go new show dropping on Paraflix. I've sent Natalie fucking a friend request a year ago. It's still pending. This girl that runs Paraflix. And if she's going to do shows, dude, and you can't accept my friend request, fucking, I don't need to watch your shows. So I now at the point where my clients, I know that sounds cheesy, but if someone's going to pay for my services and want me to book them, I'll give them support. That's what I do now. People want me to share, like their shit. I'll do it if you want to be part of my supportive group.
Dead on right here.
Thank you, Thomas. It's all about like I'm on Paranormal 911. I read a script for 10 minutes. That's well and good for you. You're cemented in TLC legacy. You're cemented in fucking Travel Channel legacy. But did you help a kid cross over? Did you help a family sleep at night? Did you get rid of a poltergeist? Did you fucking lead someone in the right direction? No, you didn't. Well, then shut the fuck up. Because none of that stuff, that don't matter to me, man. When your mom died and you died, I see life for what it is. And if you're not in this to help people and help yourself, just get out of my way. I don't need you. I don't care how many shows you've done. Dude, I got people from Stephen King movies. I got Pennywise and the truck driver from Pet Sematary that believe in me. Who else do I need? I've kind of fallen away from paranormal. As you can see, I do the horror movie thing now. I do the movie filming sites, and I just kind of do the oddity shit. And I kind of just rap, just talk freestyle because I'm sick of the whole, well, I took my Mel meter to the Conjuring house and 15 people, we ordered pizza. It was $300 a ticket. I no.
Yeah.
And then now everybody's making a circus out of it. They all want to do conventions and meet. Come investigate with us and let's this team versus this team. Like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. I can't do it, man. It's a mockery.
See, I like to go and investigate and learn, try new experiments and do different things, and that you don't see on TV. I like to do that stuff.
Jay Hill, Studio 6.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just one of those things. That's how I feel. I want to try different things.
Yes.
You don't see people using Tesla coils very often. You don't see people. I didn't say testicles.
You don't seem like a sheep.
Tesla coils.
You don't seem like a follower. You seem like someone who goes to his own drum. I think. Is that fair?
I watch Facebook a lot because you learn a lot when you watch people do live investigations and see their different techniques and what they like to do. I like doing that because then you can see, okay, this worked here. Well, let's try here. Let's try how they did it here and see if it works for me. Because what may work for them may not work for me. What may work for me may not work for them.
And it doesn't mean you were wrong though either.
Yeah, I see. I went to Bill Walter. He's got a haunted school at Broadhead Manor in Broadhead, Wisconsin.
Manor, yes, I'm friends with Bill.
Yes, and he has a embalming. Hi, Irene. He has an embalming table there, and I laid on the embalming table twice.
Oh, embalming table.
Yes.
Irene's cool. She's a psychic medium for a client of mine too. She just signed on a couple weeks ago. She is, believe it or not, dude, check this out, right? Her teammate, her partner, is the sister of EC3, the wrestler from NXT.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Irene, her friend there. They're from Private Eye Paranormal. So that's pretty cool. I know you like your wrestling and you like your
big dude.
So yeah, with horror movies, man, I love anything that's true, that's based out of things. I love my gimmicky stuff, but I love the Conjuring universe. I don't mind a little bit of Marvel. I grew up on that, but I like based on a true story. Like what's that one? The town that feared sundown because of the Texarkana murderer and shit. Like that's crazy, scary, real life scary shit.
The Conjuring movies are coming out with the Conjuring series now.
Is it?
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They switched it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Max. So it'll be interesting. After the last movie released, they're gonna make a TV show series type deal.
Oh.
So I'll be interested to see how that goes over.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people have their mixed feelings about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and you know what? Pioneers, they have been there, they have done it. They have gone through a lot more stuff than one of us can even think of. And it's just, and people like to say, oh well, they were fake and all this bullshit. They weren't fake.
Well, back then too, it wasn't as open as it is now. It was exactly. You're kind of weirdos. Like, oh, you believe in ghosts? Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Like
nowadays,
nowadays,
talk about it.
No, like tattoos. Back in the 80s, man, you get a tattoo, you must be a biker or a druggie. Nowadays, everybody's brother and I get a tattoo. Everybody
Yeah.
gets a tattoo. So it evolved with the times. But back then, they were going against the grain. Like Betty
Yeah.
and Barney Hill, the UFO abductees, a black and white couple in the 60s in New Hampshire. They're going to
Yep.
tell you they got abducted by an alien, a black and white couple. You know how bad it was to be a black and white couple back then? That
Well,
was
it was
shunned
tough.
upon.
It was very tough.
But they
Yeah.
did. I've been to where they get taken. There's a big placard, Betty and Barney Hill, 1963. And Barney died in 1968 of a brain hemorrhage 5-6 years later. Come on.
Wow.
I've been to their house in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where they both lived and died. Betty lived to be in her 90s. And I've been to their gravesite in Kingston, New Hampshire. It says The Journey Beyond, Betty and Barney Hill, Jr.
Exactly. This whole field is about opinions. If you cannot accept opinions, then you shouldn't be in the field.
Para-unity is a nice term, but the people that say it should preach it more often.
It's overused. It's overused.
Because everybody goes, how do you know? That's why if you look at my post, dude, it's like me, it's an encyclopedia. Because I would post things. Well, how do you know that? Well, how do you know that? Well, so you're going to post facts. This house was built in 1924 or whatever. Because how do you know that's just the glow of your camera? I took a picture without flash. Well, that's a light behind. Someone else behind you had a camera on. Yeah, you were there. You can't post evidence because everybody's going to fucking knock it because it's not theirs.
See, I don't care. I'll post whatever I'll post and say you take it for what it is.
Good. You should.
I mean, there's nothing to hide.
Haters everywhere, bro. Not everywhere. I mean, you can find the right people, but I'll be damned if there's someone that won't piss on your parade.
Oh yeah,
nice show, but you know,
a lot of people don't want to see other people succeed, or they think they're taking their idea, or you're taking this, you're taking that. It's like, no, this field is about sharing. Hey, this is what worked for me. Go try it.
How do you feel about sharing where you've been? Do you feel like people are going to go take that from you as far as like places?
It's a free world.
That's why I figure of it.
It's a free world.
People get mad. You go, I was there last month. I'm like, okay, and I'm there this month. What's the problem? Like,
yeah,
I don't get it.
It's sometimes it gets to a competition thing, and it's like the paranormal field doesn't need to be a competition thing, because if you really think about it, we're all in it for the same thing, and we're looking for the same thing, and we're looking for all the same answers. So where's the competition?
You know how much better we'd be ahead if we all worked together? How much more answers we'd have if we all teamed up?
We don't need competition. This is not what paranormal is at all. So
yeah, Irene agrees. It's true, man. And then you go to these conventions, Warren Con and these other Paracons, and everybody's teamed up next to each other. They all smile. Mm-hmm. Then they all leave and turn around and go, I don't like them. I don't like how they all bad talk each other. Half of them. I go, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're all for the same goal.
I would think some have other ones. Some want the TV, some want the glow and the networks. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, we all want answers, right? We're all believers for the most. I think so. Right? We all know someone that died. We're all going to die ourselves. We're only on this earth for what, 60, 70 years tops, 80 if you're lucky, I guess. So Don't you want to know what happens after? That's what I want. Am I going to see my grandfather again when I I was 9? Or was I tripping out? Was my brain not believing? I mean, or is he waiting for me? Is my mom waiting for me? Is it wasted? That's what
I would like to know what's on the other side of a portal.
And who can say, well, I'm not really into that. Dude, we all fucking die. It's not like it's like, oh, do you like sports? Oh, I don't really. This is life and death. You should want to know where you go, man. But
yeah. I mean, I feel that when I'm dead and gone, I'll be a trickster and come and pinch up behind your ass and say, hey, I'm here.
I can see that. Your shoelace is untied, doink, and your hat goes flying.
Gotta have fun when you're a spirit, you know.
You'd think. There's some angry ones out there, though. Everybody thinks it's demonic. I just think there's some angry old spirits.
I think of all demonic things in this world, I think it's between 2 and 3% of everything can be demonic and demonized, but I just the whole word demon, it doesn't fly with me. My friend that has passed on in 2020, we always used to say demon.
Demon. No hat, Adam. No, Donnie. I left my fucking hat Well, it's cold in Maine, and I'm down at Heather's. I usually wear my hat. It says Bauer Green Logistics. That's Donnie Green. That's the truck driver at Pet Cemetery. That's
Ah,
his face when
very
he
good.
killed
Nice
the
to meet you,
kid
sir.
singing the Ramones. No, I know. I had it. I knew. I said he's going to be on watching and bust my balls. I usually have a truck driver hat he gave me, and I totally spaced it. I came down. I forgot about the podcast. I came down. We went to wrestling live in Portland last night, trying to meet Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley and them, and it was pouring and didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to, but it was fun. Wrestling live
Well,
is fun.
we'll have to do another episode of just talk about wrestling.
I love it.
So
I
we'll
love
have
it.
to do that because I'm into wrestling and we're a little bit beyond the hour here, so it's getting a little close to
Oh,
11 o'clock your time. So um this has been a fantastic interview, and I'll have you back on again. We'll go over some more stuff that we have missed, possibly. Um, so at the end of the show, I'd like to ask everybody, like, what's a kind of special message would you like to leave everybody in the audience? Say, hey, I heard this yesterday. It was a great peace of mind and love it.
I guess I'm just going to take a thing out of my own playbook and just say thank you so much, everybody. Great show. I appreciate you, Danny and Amy, Becky, Nate, everybody. Of course, Dawn chiming in, Thomas. I guess my old philosophy is everything deserves to be remembered to an extent. If you go to a graveyard, just because a famous guy was not buried there, I like to go into a graveyard at least once a week, find a person, read their name out loud, figure out what they did. Maybe they haven't had a visitor in 30 years.
Mhm.
Everything deserves to be remembered. Every old building has a story. If it was built in 1850, someone has died there. Maybe someone was born there. Check it out. Just because it doesn't have the Conjuring house, Lizzie Borden's house, man, I think I would want someone to stop at my grave in 40 years from now and go, Adam Began, huh? Maybe see that I have a discovery, I don't have any kids. Find out I had a YouTube channel, go to try to find where I went. That'd be neat. So I guess
Yeah.
long story short is just be cool to each other, man. We all have stories. Some people got mental issues. We all dealing with life. Life's hard. Get
Yep.
along with each other and have fun. There's always free shit to do. Every cemetery and church is free and has a story. Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter, Historically Haunted LLC, booking, vodcast, and tours. Love you guys. Appreciate you all.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. Uh,
Who day? Who dat?
yeah. Thank you all for joining us for tonight's show. We'll be back on next Monday. I believe I have. Hey, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
I have. I believe the podcast, My Paranormal Story. It'll be on next week, I
Ooh.
believe.
Should go Sleepy
So
Hollow too. The Headless Horseman. I went there
there
this
you
past
go.
year in New York. I looked for the Headless Horseman and saw Washington Irving's grave and shit. Pretty wild.
So, like I said before, you have been watching the Paranormal Brew and the BB3 TV networks on Facebook. And if you don't have Facebook, join us on MGS Paranormal on YouTube. And with that, he's Adam, I'm Darren, and I bid you adieu. So long, everybody.